Today's video, we're going to talk about landing page cost. How much do landing pages run that convert over 25% where the real money is in running advertising campaigns for your business? I've set up dozens of landing pages that convert over this amount for lead generation campaigns. For e-commerce, you can't expect a click-to-purchase rate of 25%, but you can expect 5% if what you're doing making landing pages, which a lot of people doing e-commerce don't even think they need landing pages, which a lot of people don't, depending on your competition level and how simple it is of whatever your offering is. Many people would do 2, 3, 5 times better than what they're doing already on the same amount of traffic just by using and utilizing landing pages for people to land on before they go to their main product pages on their website. And I'm going to talk about all that on today's video. In short, if you don't spend enough on your landing page, you're not going to get nowhere near the results on the traffic you have. And people typically, as I've seen over the 10 plus years of running this advertising firm, go towards wanting to spend more of their money on advertising spend and less of it trying to get the traffic to convert, including landing page design. And they convince themselves, because that's what they want to believe, that landing pages are cheap. And then they end up just having to work really hard to get ad traffic to convert well for them, when really it would be a breeze if they just had the best landing page in their space by far, or utilizing landing pages. I'll tell you about what you could expect as far as not only the conversion rate, but the cost to generate these conversion rates with a landing page designer who actually knows what they're doing. Because for every person who says they can do landing pages, there's like 50 who can't. They typically, it's like I could make a painting for you and I'll charge you $1 for it. Doesn't mean it's going to look pretty or actually do anything that's worth anything on the open market. So there's a huge difference in a page that converts made by somebody who knows how to make a page that converts well versus somebody who knows how to do graphics design and pretty pictures. Two completely different things. One's worth a fortune, one's worth nothing. So with that said, I'll tell you how to get to the meat of landing page results where you can actually get super high conversion rates. What are the elements that are required, which if you don't know how to do it, you don't want to study, it's hiring the person who actually knows what they're doing, and they're not cheap, but they're worth every penny. I'm Corey. I'm an owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge management fees unless you get to a certain minimum pre-agreed amount of lift and profitability from your ads up front or on a new campaign that you're running. We are the only agency on the planet who offers any kind of contingency guarantee like this at their agencies, which should tell you something about the quality of the information you're about to receive on this particular video. If you stay to the end of the video, by the way, I will give you a case study or two, explain how much money we made once we actually pulled out all the stops on the landing page, and not just made any random landing page. We went to go ahead and make the best landing page possible, and how much money we were able to make once we actually did that. And we convinced the client to do that. And also, if it's my business, I'm going to do by default every time, because there's no point in advertising your business with a subpar landing page or site experience. You're just going to end up severely limiting your profit potential from running ads in your business. And for that matter, there's only so many people that are going to be willing to buy your product or service in your market to tap into. And if you don't spend time on your landing pages, you're going to get 10% of what you could get out of your market, basically. And you can't get things like display ads to work, only search ads, and people already looking to buy, because somebody who's not looking to buy needs a hell of a lot better approach to convince them to buy. With that said, I'm going to go through what the conversion rates you could expect from an e-commerce versus a non-e-commerce landing page. And then with that, what is the price that you're going to have to pay a landing page designer, firm, whatever, in order to get you these kind of conversion rates on your campaign. So you'll know A, what's possible, and then B, what is possible if you open up your wallet or pocketbook in order to pay the true cost of doing this the right way. There's endless people, in short, before I go through this, that will tell you what you want to hear about getting these kind of conversion rates. And they'll play off of your own biases that you want it to be cheap. It's just like most of the marketing industry that we're in, that is in the agency world, is set up to just tell people what they want to hear. People want to believe what they want to believe, which is marketing is cheap and easy. And yes, they don't want to do it, but they want to hire somebody cheap. And they don't want to pay them a lot, but they also don't want to do the work. And just by telling somebody what they want to hear, you don't have to have any expertise. You'll take the little money that you can get from them, knowing you can't do the work right for that. But by the time you figure it out, which will be months and months and months down the road, they've already got all your money and they've moved on to working with somebody else. If you want to actually get results, you have to find somebody who's not operating their businesses on that premise, which less than 10% of the agencies out there actually do that, and they're not charging $500 for a landing page. If you find somebody who says they can get you these conversion rates for that right now before we ever do it, because it's actually going to end up feeling better to you at the end of the day than having wasted that money. And furthermore, time. People don't consider the opportunity cost of trying a cheap guy and then trying another cheap guy and then trying another cheap guy, when you could just get to where the profitability is at and not have wasted a year in all these cheap people because you just absolutely did not want to hire somebody for the proper money that it actually costs. Because ultimately, somebody who knows how to make a landing page that converts, they can literally print money, essentially. That's what they're doing. And there's way more people who want landing pages that convert than there are actually knows how to design them. They don't need to take your little $500 a month thing, which ultimately, they would make, and that's all they could charge. They would make more money running your own business, doing what you're doing, and just cut you out. And then just subcontract all the delivery of the product or service to somebody else. The sooner you realize what I told you, the quicker you're going to be able to admit to yourself what it actually costs and that the results are there. They truly are there. And I know because I've set up hundreds of landing pages over the last 10 years, what results you actually can get with it. The conversion rates I'm about to mention here and share are predicated on the averages over those 100 plus landing pages that we've set up at our firm for different clients and also companies that I'm part owner in as well. By the way, if you wanted a good example of landing pages and what they should look like, you can go to our site on our landing page portfolio at guaranteeppc.com. You can see a bunch of them. And the prices that I'm talking about here is basically what you're going to pay to get that level of quality. The look of the page is going to get your conversion rate to go up or down. How the information's laid out is going to get it to go up or down. Information itself is going to get it to go up or down. Are you going to demonstrate well what you have? Are you going to get third parties to verify it's good, and so forth? Those are the three main factors, and they all cost considerable money to put together. But if you put them all together in one page by somebody who knows how to make a really, really good page and invest in the content that will go on the page, you will make literally millions of dollars a year are at stake when you finally set it up. And then a lot of niches, like selling water filters, the entire business is predicated on, can you put together a landing page that works? Because ultimately, everybody in the whole space wants the customers. The person who gets them is going to be the person who has the better mousetrap. And if you're not going to admit that to yourself, don't even try to run ads for your business. Truly, you're just wasting your time. It's too competitive. With that said, the conversion rate you can expect from your e-commerce business, starting with the e-commerce stuff, is going to go down based upon the price of whatever you're selling is. Why? Because the bigger the commitment, the bigger the ask, the less people are going to be willing to say yes, regardless of how your pitch is. So with that said, if you're selling something for between like less than $100, if you have a landing page that actually you paid the proper fee for it from somebody that actually knows how to get results and therefore charges a lot of money. If you're not at least getting a 5% conversion rate, you didn't hire the right person, you got too cheap, and therefore you got a scammer that you paid. You got to admit to yourself, you got to lick your wounds, then hire the right person who actually can get you those conversion rates. If you're between $100 and $300, you need to be getting at least a 4% conversion rate. When I say 4% conversion rate, I'm talking from the amount of clicks to your website that convert into a sale. And by the way, this actually also assumes that the traffic you're driving to your site, you haven't hired a bonehead person who's getting a bunch of traffic driving to your site. You need to have dialed in traffic, actual buyers, people that are highly likely to buy. If you're between $300 and $500 in price, you should be at a 2% conversion rate. If you're between $500 and $750, you should be at least at 1%. If you're between $750 and $1,000, you should be at 0.5% conversion rate. If you're between $1,000 and $2,000 in price, you should be at 0.25% click to purchase rate. And if you're between $2,000 and $4,000, you should be at 0.125% conversion rate. These are numbers that I personally verified and pulled and averaged from the last dozens of clients that we work with. I asked my assistant to go ahead, crunch and average the numbers out. This is essentially where we're at. So you could be a little higher or a little bit lower based upon your level of competition in your space. The main thing is this should be your default expectations from the landing page that you have and from the person that you hire to do a landing page, which, by the way, I say hire. You can actually learn how to do landing pages yourself, but it is such an art form to get it right. You're going to waste so much money and wasted ad spend trying to figure out the landing page that's going to convert well for you when you've never made a single landing page in your life, that there's no scenario basically where you're going to save money doing that versus just hiring the stud who knows how to make one. Frankly, it's a good analogy would be like, if your transmission in your car went out, you could save a ton of money figuring out how to reassemble your transmission and rebuild it. You could save thousands of dollars. However, the time it's going to take to figure it out, you're not saving any money and time for yourself at the end of the day. That's the same deal with landing pages. And people get confused because they see it. It's just a landing page. It's just a picture. Why should it have to cost a lot? It's just a picture. The product's good. Why do I need a fancy picture to sell it? And that's really, 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 really dumb thinking. People judge a book by its cover. They're going to look at your page, and if it looks like or it's too confusing, they're going to look at it, give it 2 seconds of thought, and then they're just going to leave. And the more shittier it looks, the more confusing it is, the more people are going to do that. And you're just throwing away huge chunks of your ad money doing that. And with that said, when I say it should cost you $25,000 for an amazing landing page that converts very, very well, people almost like have a seizure when I tell them that. But if you don't, you're literally talking about a third of the conversion rate you could have got on the page otherwise. And if you're going to be throwing $3,000 a month of ad spend on your campaign for the next 10 years, you're going to literally pay 100 times more than that in wasted ad spend than just manning up and investing in the proper landing page. And admit to yourself, a landing page designer should make what you make as the business owner, because their skill is more important than even your job as the business owner. If they don't know how to sell it for you, there's no business. So value it properly or accordingly. With that said, now landing page doesn't necessarily have to cost you $25,000, but it could. If you're in a hyper-competitive space, like selling water filtration products, given that there's 100 plus products on the market, you got to stand out. Or if you have something that's particularly complicated, it's highly technical, you need to explain why your audio engineering service is better to people that know about audio engineering, you got to spend a lot of time on that landing page explaining a thorough enough way, but also a simple enough way to get somebody to be well educated on your offer, why it's unique, why it's the best within 30 seconds or so, or you're just not going to end up making any money from the ad traffic you're driving to your site, which, by the way, most of the people that never make money on ads, they think, well, I'm going to invest in this landing page once it works a little bit. And if you don't have the landing page set up right, you're never ever going to make money. So you either have to get the balls to invest in the page that you really need to be competitive in your market that's going to blow the other pages away in terms of conversion rate, and not like what you think is better, but what the consumer actually thinks is better. When you sit a random person down side by side with both pages and you ask them which one would you buy from, they overwhelmingly say from you. If you don't have that, you're not probably good enough to make money from cold ad traffic in an e-commerce capacity. So with that said, if you are selling a water filter, which a lot of that sale is based upon, you got to differentiate yourself. How do you explain it's better? Well, you could talk about the filter elements and how ultimately the materials are going to last, this and this and this and this, right? Which is a page we actually made before. You can easily spend $25,000 on that page. Why? Well, the writing alone, the copywriting alone is going to cost you $5,000 to $10,000. Why? Because the best copywriters who know how to explain things simply and convincingly are going to be charging like $3 a word. Good copywriting that converts, that can look at your product, research it all, research the market, put the copy together, write 1,000 plus words of sales copy on your landing page. It's going to cost you minimum $3,000 for that, which if you're going to an agency, by the way, that person's fees need to be marked up 3x in order for the agency to exist. So you're going to be paying, now you can see why it's going to be $10,000 just for the copy alone. Then you need another $15,000 set aside just for the graphics design. The graphics design needs to be the designer, and there's a designer, and then there's a landing page strategist working together as a team, both of which are getting paid a load of money. They have to do a ton of research before they even design anything, which is what people really, where they fall short in their thinking. They just think, oh, somebody's just going to go in there and start designing right away. No, there's dozens of hours of work that goes into just understanding how the page should just frankly be laid out before anything's done. Then you got to do a wireframe. Then you have to understand what graphics are going to go on there, what sections are going to, there's just so much actual planning if you want the page to actually work and get a certain desired financial result at the end of the day. And somebody who knows how to do graphics design and understands conversion psychology, human psychology both, they're rare. That type of person is going to be making $200,000 a year at the agency, which they're going to have their fees marked up by 3x. So the agency's going to have to bill them out at $600,000 a year. And that doesn't account for the strategist itself that understands marketing and business strategy, which also has to work with that designer who has a minimum base level knowledge about consumer psychology as well. This is why it ends up costing so much. And almost everybody I tell what I'm trying to explain to you here on today's video and this video here, they just simply don't get it. They want it to be cheap, and then they just try like hell to get it done cheap, and it's just, you're wasting your time in a competitive market. For sure, go get it out of your system. Go hire somebody for $1,000 to make you a landing page for your water filter product like nobody else who sells water filters have ever thought about hiring a landing page designer for $1,000 to become a freaking millionaire in terms of driving ad traffic to it. See how badly it crashes and burns, then you'll recollect yourself and then realize anything that's going to make millions of dollars, you're not going to buy into it for $1,000. Really, one good landing page for a water filter product like that literally can make you millions of dollars. Why? Because the ad traffic you drive in doesn't even have to be that dialed in when the page is just absolutely cherry. That landing page then is 80% of the equation as to whether your ad traffic is going to work or not. Truly. A lot of people don't realize that. They think the ad traffic is everything. The landing page, how it's laid out, how it's designed, the copywriting, how you actually structure your offer, call to action, all of it, 80% of the results you're going to get. If you're going to spend $100,000 on your advertising program this year, you'd be better off taking 25 of it just to make the landing page, and because you're going to make the most money that way. That's $25K though, just for the design and all of that to make the page. That doesn't even count any content. This is the other part where people they're mentally not thinking about it right. In order for somebody to believe your water filter product, you should actually have authority on water filters review your product, and not one, but several, and then bribe several customers to give you a video testimonial, because that's going to make it more believable. Then you're going to go ahead and send your water filter to a test facility that'll test it against all the other major water filters. And so you can have that on your landing page. A landing page designer can't do everything for you. They can't just take your product and be like, make me a landing page. You got to have all this content first. And that in itself is going to cost you $25,000 to collect. All the case studies, just to have the landing page designer be able to do their job properly for you. And then you got the $25K to just arrange it on the page so it's as effective as possible. The information's getting digested in a way that's going to maximize your conversion rate and stickiness on the page. So $50,000 all in. But that page, as long as it gets you, when you sell a $1,000 water filter, you're able to convert at 0.5. You're going to be able to throw ad traffic at it, and you're going to be able to make that $50,000 of profit a month once you've scaled that ad campaign up over the next, and break it in over the next 24, 36 months. So it's literally nothing in the grand scheme of things when you think it over. Where people get stuck is they say, they don't have any balls. They say, oh, it might not work, so I'm just going to spend $1,000 on it. And then you're just going to, it's like saying you're going to be healthy by eating garbage food. And after I'm healthy, I will eat the right food. But until then, I'm going to eat Cheetos and chocolate bars and all this. It doesn't work like that. It can be $50,000 for a good landing page in a hyper competitive market like water filtration products, where you can make a lot of money selling water filters to millions of people if you do it right. And it's fairly complicated what you got to explain. If you're in a low competition market in terms of e-commerce, you can get by with about $9,000 for a good landing page. And I know a lot of you guys are still thinking like, well, what the hell is this guy smoking? I mean, seriously, $9,000? Go ahead and try it for yourself. If you can get an ad campaign to work with just sending the traffic to your regular old product page on your site and scale it to millions of dollars, by all means, skip what I'm telling you here. But if you can't, you gotta reality's gotta hit at some point. You gotta admit to yourself what your bottleneck is. And generally speaking, again, the answer isn't, oh, well, I'll just figure out how to do this myself, because unless you've made dozens of landing pages, you're not going to make one that's going to crush all of the other landing pages in your entire space or websites in your entire space. And at the very least, you're going to waste so much money and time trying to figure out how to do it for yourself. If you would have just threw the 9K at it right away, you would have saved yourself money. In a low competition space, like we had a company that sold a skincare product for cancer patients. That product didn't really have much competition. It's a fairly new product and it's pretty straightforward and it's pretty low commitment. All we had to do is show, other cancer patients who've used the product, who said that they liked it, with a few video testimonials, explain on a fundamental level why this product, what it does and why it works. And we had some sales coming in already and we had a decent conversion rate already. So with that type of situation, it's not too technical / it's not very competitive, so we don't have to get super technical about to get an edge on our competition. We can spend easily $9K and get a really decent page that can put us in a position to make millions of dollars in sales profitably in our market. So that gives you some sort of contrast here. For the most part, most people underestimate in e-commerce that they even need landing pages, and if they do, they don't want to invest in it. I see it all the time. People will come to our agency and they'll say, why isn't my shopping campaign working? I look at the product page and there's like 2 paragraphs of text on there. No testimonial, no video testimonials, no influencers have reviewed the product, nothing. Just a couple written testimonials that people don't believe anymore because people fake testimonials all the time, at least the text ones that have no way to click and verify it's a real person. And a couple paragraphs of text that you literally could have just scraped off of any other website, put it on this site, and you wouldn't know the difference. Not going to cut it in a competitive market. If you're the only one doing what you're doing and there's already a high demand, yeah, you can get by with no product page or no landing page. Just send them to the product page with 2 paragraphs of text on it. You can make money already. But if you're not, the only question is, how good your landing page have to be? And if you're going to go ahead and invest in the landing page, you can take the approach most people do, which is to hire 3 guys in a row till you finally are forced to admit to yourself it ain't cheap. Or you could take my advice, just take that money, invest it into the right guy up front, get it done right, just like you can take your car to get a transmission rebuilt by some guy off Craigslist. And it's probably going to be done shitty, but it's very attractive because he's going to do it for $700 and the transmission shop charges $3,000, but you get what you pay for. And more than likely, the guy is just telling you what you want to hear. He's going to do it all half-ass. The thing's going to last a year and you're going to end up kicking yourself once it's all said and done with. Then you have to now hire the right guy still. With that said, on the non-e-commerce side, I'm going to tell you what kind of conversion rates you can expect with non-e-commerce landing pages and for products and services, so you can see what you should be able to expect with a decent landing page and then what it will cost to get those conversion rates from a reputable person who really knows what they're doing. And actually, like I mentioned before, it really takes a team. You got to have a copywriter, you got to have a good designer, you got to have a landing page strategist who understands consumer psychology and has experience making hundreds of pages if you want to for sure get these numbers. And the price is always worth it, so there's no reason why you look at the price and you just have an emotional reaction to it and don't do it, because that's the only reason why you shouldn't and wouldn't do it, which is price looks high. I'm not doing. Price looks high. I know that it's tempting, but when you don't know anything about a market, of course it's tempting to just go with the cheap product until you've had the experience. So with that said, now, the main differentiator that's going to determine if you get a 60% conversion rate from click to lead, that is, when I say lead, I mean phone call, form fill, text message lead, live chat lead, if you're doing that, versus 15% conversion rates, which is still way better than what most people are going to get on their stuff, their campaigns. The main differentiator that determines it is the amount of uncertainty of the buyer, which if you didn't know where you basically exist here after I go through this with you, you can always leave me a comment in the comment section or reach out to me at my firm at guaranteeppc.com and I'll tell you for sure where you should be at in terms of your expectations for your niche market and the niche that you're in. We can also put you a landing page together and guarantee your results if you are into that. We also sell landing page templates that we've already put together before. Like if you're selling water filters, we can give you the water filter template that we have on file, and we can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front. We've got not only the landing page templates, but the campaign templates to go with it, the ad templates to go with it, everything you need to copy paste those results into your ad account. So if we've worked in your niche market already, you would do yourself a huge freaking favor just buying those templates from us, because we've already spent years to figure out what works the best in your market already. And with that, we've got many people that have used these templates now, which is why I bring it up on this channel a lot, because it makes things so easy to do. You can start a whole new business from scratch just revolving around the template itself, knowing that the template works to sell that item or service profitably, and you just got to install it and you got a turnkey business. Whether you want to sell leads, whether you want to generate leads and then subcontract all the work and pretend like you're doing the work yourself, whether you want to sell a product like a water filter that you can easily get from China, have a turnkey campaign with it. So anyway, if you're interested in any of those other opportunities, you can also reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. Getting back to the topic at hand here, if you are in a market like plumbing services, towing services, that frankly, there's not a lot of convincing that you have to do. You just got to be able to clearly communicate that you can do whatever it is they came for. If I'm looking for a broken toilet repair service, you don't say plumbing company like everybody else that's damn lazy wants to do. You say broken toilet repair service, #1 in broken toilet repair in Dallas. So the other thing that they want to know is, do you cover their area? And you say the name of their area that they're in on the landing page. And then if you do that, plus you communicate that you can be trusted right away, that is the best way to do that, is to say how long you've been in business, you're A+ BBB rated. If you're not, get it. What your average review rating is out of 5 on Google, on Yelp, all the places that you would get reviewed at, or your industry related review place. Clickable, so that when somebody wants to verify any of that I just described, they can click it and go verify it on the web somewhere. Even how long you've been in business, ideally. Clickable. Take them to the Secretary of State's website, so that if they're curious and they're skeptical at all, you end it as easily as possible for them. Anyway, that system right there, generally speaking, will get you a 60% conversion rate in a market like that. There's no convincing. It's all just about how quickly can you communicate with them and how clearly can you communicate with them. Can you make it as simple as a 10-year-old kid could freaking understand in 5 seconds or less, which if you can do that, you'll get those kind of conversion rates. But you still got to understand. See, a lot of people on landing pages, they'll look at our landing pages that we've made it at a firm. They'll be like, there's nothing that special. I can do that. And they don't understand the nuances to it. It's just like watching somebody put a transmission together. Oh, I can do that. But there's just small details to it that you don't understand when you're putting that transmission together. That one small micro millimeter not doing this or that right, the whole thing fails. Landing pages are exactly like that. How the information's presented to you in the page in terms of use of white space, color contrast, making sure to use colors that convey trust versus urgency versus making people anxious. All this stuff has an impact on your conversion rate. The only way that you pick it up truly is after you've done things wrong many times to find out what actually works. You can't read a book on it to get everything you need in an hour. That just doesn't exist. They'll look at the landing page that we have and they'll say, I'll do it myself. And then they'll complain that the results aren't there. How it was laid out in terms of page balance and balancing text with imagery just right, and all that impacts your results. You could try to do it yourself, but if you're not getting those kind of conversion rates, or you need to come, or you need to go with somebody else who knows what they're doing, you get that kind of conversion rate ultimately. And if they're charging you any less than like $5,000, now we're going to do cheaper on our landing pages, because at our firm at least, because we're going to be able to generally get our money back from working with the client, managing their ads. And it's basically like a loss leader. Any other firm, if they're not charging you at least $5,000 for that page, then they don't know what the hell they're doing. And yeah, you may get lucky in your mind and think, oh, I'll find somebody that undervalues themselves. But 95% chance you're just going to get ripped off and disappointed. The person, like I said, that even just knows how to design well, that for conversion-centric design, they're making $200,000 a year. You can't tell me otherwise. Yeah, there's a lot of people who say they can design landing pages and have experience. There's a lot of people who talk is cheap. Thought that you found the one person who can do it for $1,000. Ask them for the last 50 pages they made and what results they get, and to verify those results. You're going to hear every excuse in the book. They don't have it. That's just it. They don't have it. Somebody who has all those results knows what they can sell them for, sell their skills for, and they're selling them appropriately for whatever price that they're actually worth for the client. Now, if you're in a space that's kind of like in the middle, niche in the middle, where somebody isn't totally convinced once they get to your landing page that they are going to buy whatever you're offering for sure, like crime scene cleanup services, bathroom remodeling services, a lawyer, a speaker that is niche speaking, like if you were looking for a sales training speaker, all that stuff's fairly niche stuff to where if somebody's typing in bathroom remodeling company Dallas and they get to your landing page, they're not totally convinced that they're going to do it. A lot of those people in that traffic stream that you've got coming to your landing page are just thinking about it. It's not like a broken toilet where there's no thinking to be done. Can you do it? Can I trust you? Do you cover my area? I'm calling. And in that situation, if you're in a market like that, you should be getting something like 30% conversion rate at least. If you're not getting that, then you need to hire a landing page designer who knows what they're doing. That again should cost you about $5,000. Now, if you're in a space like, let's say you're doing signed printing and you want people on the page to kind of evaluate whether or not they have a requirement that you can fulfill and then like to give them a little bit of information about the pricing. We did a landing page for a signed printer. They had to put in there like the size that they wanted. There was 3 main questions: size that they wanted, how many they wanted, like the format. That was essentially so to be able to pre-qualify the lead and for the lead to be generated. We also had on that page pricing scheme and like a table that says kind of like what we charge for each, breaking quantity discounts down. And because some of those people are going to look at what we have and disqualify themselves, no matter how qualified the user is, maybe don't want to pay our pricing, the best we can kind of hope for is like 15% conversion rate in that scenario. We had also promo products that we did, like we would have a landing page for custom hats and we would offer them a free sample of what their hat will look like as the call to action, which worked very well, but we were still only getting a 15% conversion rate. And we're only going to get that because a big portion of the people typing in buy custom hats, a lot of those people just aren't going to buy. There's a bunch of tire kickers within that keyword's traffic and you can't get around that. You can get a very high response rate on the people that are serious, but that will make the overall conversion rate though only go up so high. So, and then with that, if you're doing something more complicated like that, that's not so straightforward for the user, there's more thought that needs to go into exactly what information's on the page, then you should be talking about like 9,000 for that landing page. Assuming you're trying to generate a lead, phone call, form fill, whatever still. Ultimately, with this last one as well, a lot of you guys, if you generated leads, you have to have a good sales process and you got to have good salespeople on the phone. And it's expensive to continue to pay their salary. You'd be better off taking the landing page and kicking that up a notch so there's less phone calls in general. The better you are at making your landing page, the less calls you're going to get before they buy as well. And you can reduce what you have to pay the salesperson as a result. I mean, it's literally 1-to-1. The better the page is, the less questions are going to get asked. Your goal should be basically, at the end of the day, have that landing page so damn good that nobody calls and asks questions. Either call and they say they want to put their order through, which even that could be eliminated, obviously. And there's just no calls coming through anymore. Or one-off really weird calls for about a weird custom situation. So there shouldn't be any rhyme or reason to it. It shouldn't be, we had 2 or 3 people ask this question every month for the last 6 months. All that should be worked out just through making that landing page better. Why? Because once people ask questions, you ask, how can we make the landing page better? And you work it into the damn landing page. If they're not trusting us and they want to know for references, how do we make the page trustworthy enough so they stop asking for that? That should be how you be thinking when you do landing page design. With that said, you'll have less conversion rate because more people will weed themselves out, but you don't have to pay for a salesperson anymore. Respectively, like in SaaS or software as a service, that's more so the route that they've realized it's worth going. Instead of having people do demos, let's just make the landing page so good that they don't need a demo. Or at least once they do finally need a demo, we can ask them for their card on file that they wouldn't necessarily be willing to give us if we didn't have a really good landing page explaining all the benefits you're going to get by using this software service. So something to consider. If you want to know the inner workings on how to make a landing page, you are stuck on making a page yourself, which is cool, by the way. I don't blame anybody for wanting to learn how to do it themselves. In fact, in the long run, figuring out how to make a page yourself will help you make in your career way more money because you don't have to rely on landing page people. You can just direct a designer to do certain things for you and you'll have a good result. And it's like teaching a man to fish. He can feed himself for a lifetime versus hiring a landing page designer. You always got to pay that high price for the landing page designer forever because they have the high level, upper level knowledge on how to make a page actually convert and appeal to people's conscious and subconscious memory and so forth to get these kind of conversion rates. But if you want to know how to make a landing page in terms of like breaking out like the elements on the page that work and so forth, I got a ton of content on this channel about that specifically that you're simply not going to find on other channels because these people that talk about landing pages on YouTube and on the web don't really make landing pages. They're ghostwriters or the people trying to make money off of ads, Google AdSense, and the information is useless essentially. So you should subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed to this channel as well, because I consistently talk about not only ads, but the landing pages that always need to go with them to make ads work. I do both things as my full-time job at our firm. I literally spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy and landing page testing at our firm to find out exactly what works. And I've been doing things like that for the last 10 plus years at our firm and having worked on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different products and services to give you the information about what works and what doesn't work on this channel. So you should subscribe. It's the best information you're going to find online about how to make money, millions of dollars a year running ads for your business. You should also check out my blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog. The blog has even better information because I lay out exactly what we're using to guarantee results for our clients there with screenshots with everything you need to use it. So you should check that out for yourself as well if you haven't already. With that said, if you want to know how much this stuff actually makes, to put a number and context to what I just described to you here, because just hearing the price, people shit their pants and they don't want to do it. But if you knew how much it makes, now you would basically want to do it. So for the water filter product here, we sold a water filter product, which is way more than what most water filter products are sold for, which, by the way, is thanks to the landing page. Without a good landing page, you can't sell stuff for as much money either. The margins isn't going to be as good on what you're selling. And you could sell a very expensive premium product if you just have a good landing page. So that's what you should be taking away from this one. But with that said, we had our water filter product basically completely crashed and burned. They couldn't sell this expensive product on Google running ads for people typing in specialized water filter. I can't give away the exact water filter type and what it's specialized in because I would be giving away that client's entire currently working campaign. But when people were typing in black water filter or whatever, just typing of specific keywords that is tied to the type of water filter that they were getting, they couldn't get it to convert nowhere near enough to be profitable. We're talking less than 0.1%, more than 1,000 clicks to even just get one sale, all right? And then they got a bunch of leads, stupid leads that they had to service. People were confused when they did respond, and because they were obviously able to ask questions. Like if you sell anything for over $100, you got to be able to answer questions, even though you're trying to get them to go through the cart and just buy, which is another thing people don't often understand. But switching to the really good landing page that we didn't even have all the content, but our firm created an excellent landing page and we were able to get things to go from less than 0.1 to about 0.4%. So we basically 5 to 10x the conversion rate doing that just by having a really long form landing page that went over each individual selling point on the thing. It's better than other water filters. For this reason, we've tested them. Here's 3 different customers who've used our product and say why they like it. Here's the technology that we're using. And landing pages that work well are styled like that for in the e-commerce world. You got to be able to go through and make a list of all the stuff that would be convincing to the user and then break it down. But with that said, 0.4% conversion rate, when we're talking about a cost per click of about $1 a click here, now we're going to be selling the product for about $200 in terms of advertising costs. Our product sells for about $1,200. Now we have a 500% ROAS on our investment. Thanks to the landing page, and without the landing page, we wouldn't be competitive. And now we can scale up the campaigns, reinvest in the money we're making back into more ad spend. So we started out with less than $3,000 a month in ad spend to get the model working, know what we were converting at a high enough rate to be profitable, started spending more. And then over the next 3 to 5 years, scaling up to where we're spending $50,000 a month on ads already. And we're making millions of dollars a year in sales already at a decent margin because on a product like that, we had more margin. So a 500% ROAS was actually plenty good enough. We actually could have survived off of a 350 easily. We got able to get more than that and scale it more than that, which normally, if it were my business, I would have scaled it at 350, but we didn't end up doing that. But anyway, that really explains same product, different landing page made the entire business work, literally speaking, to where they were able to scale up to millions of dollars just by understanding landing pages and how they're made and what works. We could have went ahead and did even better if we would have invested into a couple celebrities to endorse the product, putting that on the landing page, and people don't want to do that because it sounds expensive and they think it might not work, so they're not going to take that risk. The consumer doesn't have ever heard of your brand before. Of course, it's going to increase the likelihood that they're going to be willing to trust you, especially on a product that's that expensive. On the companies I run, I'm going to invest in an influencer, a celebrity, so we can put that on our site or get it reviewed on the news or on a targeted TV show or the blog that gets the most traffic in the space. So I can reference that on my landing page because that is going to get the product that we're offering trusted, so that when we say it's the best, they know it's the best. I'm going to do that every single time because it makes it so much easier to get a high conversion rate versus just trying to make the landing page laid out good, but without having the really good content to put on there. So that gives you a perfect example of like how much this stuff matters at the end of the day. You can literally take a product page that's not fancy, pull out all the stops, put together a landing page that would cost 25 grand and convert 5 to 10 times better than what you started with, just by understanding that landing pages are worth every dime and investing in them. We had a client who was in the crime scene cleaning services space, and they were sending people to the homepage. They should be using a landing page itself. Obviously, everybody should on Google for Google Ads search traffic, but they were only converting at 5 to 7% doing just that. So the traffic was already pretty good to get that kind of a conversion rate sending traffic to the homepage. Once we had a landing page that targets each keyword individually, so the headline matches the user's keyword and the city that the user's in is also in the landing page right away. The page was designed by somebody in-house that's already made dozens of landing pages for local service companies already, so we know exactly the layout that works the best. We were able to get that up close to 30% instead. Once the page was broken in for a while, because part of this is once you put a new landing page in place, the algorithm's kind of have to relearn how to adjust for the new landing page. You go back into learning mode for a long time, but after 6 months of breaking it in, we went from 7% to just under 30%. So you're talking about like basically 4x lift in conversion rate, spending equivalent, what would cost you an equivalent of about 5 grand to put something together. For something like that, you can make the base page using the expert. Then you just copy paste it out for all the rest of the cities and keywords, and you don't need an expert for that, obviously. Or shouldn't need it, or you can obviously pay a firm to do all that work for you as well. But anyway, you get the general idea of what I'm trying to convey here. That gives you a couple perfect examples of how much this stuff matters at the end of the day, and it can make a campaign that makes a little bit of money, make millions just by fixing your landing page. And finally, mentally investing into landing pages are hard, they're expensive. Anybody who knows how to actually make one is going to charge tons of money. That's just and they're charging a lot because other clients realize the worth, and that's what they're able to charge, and they wouldn't be willing to pay them that if they didn't pay for themselves. So there's a reason why they're charging what they're charging. And the guy that charges me a little bit, when I ask them who else's landing page did you make, and they can't give you a list, they say, oh, I have a non-disclosure, I can't offer. I can't give you a list, which is the favorite of people in this kind of space. There's a reason for it. So just be forewarned, and I'm telling you the truth of how this market works that I'm in, and what people do, what games people play. So with that said, I'll wrap it out with that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said landing page S was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.